Johnson.
Here.
Rhodes.
Here.
Simmon.
Here.
Could we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The agenda is before you. Mark, do you have any additions or corrections to the agenda?
One change, Mayor, item E, as it pertains to a contract extension, we're removing and we'll bring back to you at another time.
Not ready?
Not ready.
Thank you. Any other changes to the agenda? It'll be as written then. Special orders, lots of special orders. Minutes, approval of the minutes from the April 7th meeting.
I would like to make one additional comment. Underneath the audit section, I would like the statement in there about the finding that the auditors found.
Any other additions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor of the minutes say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries, minutes stand. Special orders of the day, GFWC Federation Day proclamation. Mark?
Sure. Coming up.
Would you girls please come up with me? You're all part of it.
Well, you'll have to listen to me for about that time. Is that okay? But we're happy to have you here. Yeah, it's very nice. Proclamation declaring April 24th, 2025 as GFWC Federation Day. Whereas the General Federation of Women's Club Big Rapids Incorporated and its members have enhanced the citizens and community of Big Rapids and the surrounding communities for 54 years through their commitment to volunteer service, which include maintenance of the Riverwalk and post office, gardens, reading programs at Big Rapids Community Library, support of children's programs at Artworks, support of Our Brothers Keepers Shelter, WISE, Project Starburst, Manna Pantry, recognition and thank you gifts to city and county workers, warm clothing for area children, and various national organizations that meet the needs of children and families in the United States and abroad. And whereas in 2024, the members of GFWC Big Rapids Incorporated had 109 projects, volunteered over 4,588 hours, provided over $24,991 in direct donations, as well as over $11,589 in in-kind donations. And whereas GFWC Big Rapids Incorporated and its affiliate member clubs in all 50 states, District of Columbia, and more than a dozen countries are at the forefront of grassroots community service, providing support to arts, preserve natural resources, advance education, promote healthy lifestyles, encourage civic involvement, and legislative issues of importance to women, children, and families throughout the world. Therefore, be it resolved that the City of Big Rapids Mayor Frederick Gunther calls on the citizens of Big Rapids to recognize April 24, 2025 as GFWC Federation Day in celebration of the founding of its esteemed organization in the City of Big Rapids. Be it further resolved that the Mayor expresses gratitude to GFWC Big Rapids Incorporated and its members for their continued work in making Big Rapids and the surrounding communities a better place for all citizens. Dated April 21st, 2025, and signed by Mayor Gunther. There you go.
Any comments? Comments? Anything?
Well, being a born Towie along with Linda, we've watched the city grow, and we think it's so important to be a part of the community and give back to this community that has given so much to all of us. And anything that we can do to support the city, our surrounding area, and enhance the beauty of our community and make it a better place to live, we're here to do that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, Arbor Day proclamation, Mark.
Sure. Well, if anybody was here to accept the Arbor Day proclamation, but
I think Michelle's gonna accept.
Michelle's accepting? Good. I'll read nonetheless. Arbor Day Proclamation 2025. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. Whereas trees reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. And whereas Big Rapids has recognized as a Tree City USA by the National Arbor Day Foundation and desires to continue its tree planting practices. Now, therefore, I, Fred Gunther, Mayor of the City of Big Rapids, do proclaim April 25th, 2025 is Arbor Day in the City of Big Rapids, and urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations, dated 25th day of April, 2025.
Mark, how does this tie to Tree City?
That is Tree City.
That is Tree City. Arbor Day is Tree City.
Yes.
Nice job,
We have
Michelle.
been,
Outstanding.
Good job, Michelle.
we have been, it's up on the board as you walk in, how many years. I want to say we started in almost the year I was born, so I think we're looking at almost 50 years.
47 this year.
50 years,
So are we continuing to add plaques to that sign, or
Yes,
is that, okay,
yes.
all right, cool.
You gonna do the next, or am I gonna do the next?
I think you were doing the
Oh.
next, Mayor.
I invite John Coles to come forward.
We get somebody else to do this?
I don't write the whereas speeches that Mark does. As you all know, the Hemlock Park project started 7 years ago, John, about
Number of years, yeah.
a number of years ago to get that park done. And finally, now the park's done. The park has already received, am I allowed to say those awards?
Sure, yes.
Two major awards, one from a civil engineering award for the design, is that right?
Yes.
And the other is just for being a great addition to the city from,
The American Public Works Association.
and those are really great honors. So this is a certificate honoring John for spearheading the Hemlock Park project, and I don't write whereas speeches like he does, but you can have that. The grand opening, the big ribbon cutting, when is it? What day, Mark, or is it?
May 24th, correct, Steve?
24th?
May 24th.
That'll be a fun day. Wear your bathing suits.
What can I say a word or two?
Sure.
All right, looks like this is addressed to me, but having been in sports my whole life, I know individual awards are on the backs of teams. And I had a team of over 500 donors, ranging from retirees who donated out of their retirement accounts to elementary school kids donating their birthday money. And amazing, yeah, no, absolutely. All sorts of organizations in town. An internal committee of Patrick McNabb and Larissa Draves, Katie Ross, Jerry Gardner, Tim Heist. Big Rapids Public Schools was a great partner. Fair State and Corwell were great partners. And then the city, obviously. Heather Bowman spearheaded this on their behalf, and Heather just did a tremendous job activating and executing all of our plans. And so although my name's on it, it's a team award, and the whole community, the whole city of Big Rapids deserves this award tonight. So thanks to everybody who donated, worked on it. We did it together.
It's gorgeous.
It is
Yeah,
wonderful.
very
Thank
good.
you.
Thanks, John.
study sessions today. Public comment unrelated to things on the agenda, please. Please, can you stay at the mic too, please? We're having trouble recording otherwise. Thank
Hi,
you.
my name's Greg Taylor. I live at 606 Woodward. And I was just wondering if the city is considering another deer call in the near future. The reason I'm asking is I'm counting 12 deer right across the street from me every single night. And I've seen as many as 16 there. So the herd is growing. And to try to grow anything or any kind of plant in the yard is almost impossible. They're like lawnmowers. So I was just wondering, or I'd like to say that where the cull has been happening in that area behind Brookside School, I don't think that's where the deer problem is. The deer problem is between Woodward and Fuller. So there's a pretty good size herd there.
We have multiple meetings with the DNR about this problem, and it's not quite as easy as I thought it was. They set the number in the call, and then the USDA, Agriculture Department, does the duties.
Sure.
And we pushed them from 20 to 30 to 40, now we're at 75. And they're not keen to go any higher. And let me tell you, they control that completely. We have no say. Now, if there were a major public uprising, I don't know if that would help or not. But if you all know Pete Kyling, Kyling's a great local name, he's a great local guy, is our DNR person. And his comment to me is you can kill all you want, they replace themselves faster than you can kill them. So, Mark, you're the hunter fisherman, I don't.
Yeah, well, that's certainly part of the problem, and you, everything you said was right on. The trick, Greg, we have in your neighborhood is access. So we have access behind you there, behind Brookside, and we can get some there. We have it at the far west end, what we call Spruce Ridge, you know, kind of that far area on the other side. There's a lot of deer that hang in around the Lutheran Church that don't go real far sometimes, and we can't get permission to go there.
I've heard that.
Yeah, and that's a real barrier to making a difference in your neighborhood,
And that's
is
really
access.
where the problem is.
Yeah.
They know where to hide.
I've walked back there,
Yeah.
there's well-worn trails back there. That's where they're
That's
reproducing.
where they're at, yes, and but the property owners have to give us permission to be able to do it. So,
You can use my yard. You can use my yard.
well, and our former mayor, Mark Warba, who I'm not sure.
Lives right on the side of that.
I'm right across the
Yeah,
street.
he has vocalized the same thing you have to me many times. They're looking for a sizable, kind of piece of property usually, but that is our major hurdle of making an impact in your neighborhood. So maybe sounds like we need to do more, and I'm happy to try. It's just that's been our problem in the past.
Right, otherwise I don't see that herd getting
You can't
any
get 'em out of
smaller
there. Yeah,
anytime
right.
soon. So,
Could probably get, quite a few
You
there.
do get some negative comments about the call,
right.
shooting the deer. too.
I've got neighbors that aren't happy with it, so.
It's a hard problem, and they eat all my wife's stuff, and I have to hear about it constantly. Can't you do something here? And it's like,
I've tried everything, it doesn't work. Right,
thank you,
Thank
sorry.
you.
thank you.
Other public comment related to things that aren't on the agenda,
Just to this,
please.
I think that
Can you talk in the speaker, Foster, please? It records better.
I know that in a lot of like residential areas, this wouldn't help, but I think that in some cases, farmers can shoot deer out of season. So if the DNR is putting a limit on how many deer the city can cull, if there are farms nearby that can not attract the deer, but are having an issue with the deer, that could be a possible alternative method of controlling their population where otherwise we had no other means available.
Thank you. I know know that's true. Anything else anyone has? Hearing none, we'll keep moving. There are no public hearings today. The general business, the first bit of business is the resolution to adopt a new rental reservation policy for the old jail. The city has taken over management of the old jail completely. It was the old jail committee, the Historical Society Committee. They have given it to the city. One of the city employees is responsible for keeping the books, paying the bills, and making the reservations. And so the staff felt we needed to get the rules down so people can rent the old jail easily through that city person. Mark, anything else to add on that?
No, you've summed it up very well.
So is there a motion to approve the reservation policy for the old jail?
So moved.
Second. There's a motion and a second. Further questions or comments?
Yes, I have a couple. It talks about reservations may be made for the year anytime after January first, that's consistent with our other policies? Or, can it be a year in advance to your date? So let's say I know every year my family reunion is on
No, we
June
do it-
26th.
You have to do it every year after January first.
And then it mentions a payment and it, like a rental reservation, but it doesn't list what that cost is in the policy. And I don't know what our other policies, if they spell that out.
We have a schedule of fees which is separate from the reservation policy but it's good to talk about it. I don't know if I have it right at the tip of my tongue.
It's the same as the pavilion.
So it's 80, I think, for a city resident, and maybe it's 100 for a non-resident, if I remember right. But I can report back on what those are.
So then our fee schedule might need to be updated to add the old jail
Yes,
to it.
good point, yes.
And then the other thing was, where was it? Number 9, it says the park staff, and technically this facility, this property is not a park, correct? It would be great to make it into a park, but I don't believe it is. So with those changes, with those changes made, I have no issue, I just wanted to clarify a couple of things.
Other comments on the old jail policies? So Karen, we'll just correct those and we'll go ahead with the motion to approve the old jail policy, and we did that. You ready to call it? Please.
James,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Simmons,
Yes,
Gunther.
Yes. Next is a resolution authorizing a listing extension. I won't say for how long, Joe. 10 years, 12 years for the Hanchett property.
We do historically 1 year at a time.
You skipped one.
Well, we'll get it, but we'll probably manage.
Yes, Joe is here with us. He's a familiar face for our listing of city properties. The Hanchett property listing is up and needs to be renewed, and that's what we have for you tonight. I don't have any new news to report on the Hanchett property. Maybe Joe might have something I'm not aware of, but has done good work for us and look to renew this with him.
Questions?
I have a couple of questions. When did we first list it? How many years has the property been listed?
8.
8.
I believe it's 8. Is it
Yeah.
going on 9?
Joe, has it always been at 500,000?
It is not. We've bounced back and forth. I think I've had it for 5 years myself.
Randy
Randy O.
Oh, that's right.
Succeeded me. We've gone as low as $395, I want to say at one time. At the end of the day, the price itself is not the catalyst for selling it. We've had more suitors than we can shake a stick at. Ultimately, it's about other things.
Okay, I guess my question is then, how many years has it been at the 500,000?
Fairly recently, Mark, was
Yeah,
that?
I would say 2 or 3. We have changed, and the, philosophy behind it has changed. I think it might even have been as low as 300 at one time or something, but 500, sort of a little bit out of thin air, but it's been that for a couple of years.
Okay.
I think, Joe, you'd bring us anything that was money, right? I mean, I don't think it's etched in stone.
In spite of the, all that's happened the last 3-4 years of this property, I'm still getting up and doing my job on this every day. I openly pay subscriptions to multiple MLS services for this property specifically. I'm combing through data, talking to people. At the end of the day, it's been quiet, I think, since our last significant foray was made. They knocked us around a little bit with a couple other developers. They were on the agenda. I know I spoke to 3 or 4 others that specifically called them to see what happened. That hasn't gone great. So waiting for that to kind of run its course, peter out, looking for fresh interest. Yep.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion for approval of Remax to list this property again, the Hampton property?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions further? Anything from the public?
I do have.
Yes,
a couple
please.
there. Joe, what do you think the city can do, if there's anything additionally, to help market and sell this property? Do we have a zoning issue? Should we pick that up when we do? Do you have any recommendations?
When I first listed the property, it felt to me like there was a clear mandate from the city for what we wanted to be there. And that kind of clarity is really helpful. I think that, especially the first couple of years we had it up, there were constantly evolving suitors. And some of them developed quite nicely. We put a lot of time into some of those and resources. And I've been out there 100 times showing people, but we had 4 or 5 that really came along nice, put together formal offers or letters of intent. But the last one especially that we had, I feel like if we could get back to having some clarity, ultimately I know we're gonna have to present it to the public and they're all gonna have a say. But it did feel like that the initial mandate was a little lost in the shuffle, which was going back all those years ago. It was, we're gonna purchase this, we're gonna put all this money into it, and we're gonna build housing. And there were some specifics there, what kind of housing. But, I feel like it was a long time ago. And to avoid maybe some of the, we've rubbed some developers wrong because it felt like we weren't sure what we wanted to do with it. Not those of you sitting here, but as a city, from a city standpoint. And that doesn't feel great. Having a clear mandate, or a clearer mandate would feel, I think, helpful to represent to suitors for the property.
So is that in terms of a marketing write-up that the city can do? Okay. All right.
Not necessarily. I certainly can use more specific terms when I'm marketing the property, both to negate unneeded interest, right? And then to be able to reinforce it down the road. This is what we want to do. I think the last time, literally what threw us off was simply ratios between low income and middle income and upper income. Just ratios was what threw us off of getting approval. Am I summarizing that?
You got it pretty good.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a simplification.
But
for
it-
me.
it-
I mean, I'm
yeah,
simplifying
no.
it without getting into all the
Yeah,
details,
yeah.
obviously.
But
I think, Mark, what we need to do is do a work session on.
Do we?
If we need
yeah, I
to
would agree with
come
that.
up with a,
Yes. Do a statement of something
Yes.
that of
would that help you?
That'd be tremendous, and it would give us something that's not so ambiguous when we have people.
We'll get that
Interesting.
scheduled, Mayor.
that'd be
Good
great.
idea.
Thank you so much for
Thank
those
you.
comments. Yeah.
Mayor, I have a legal question. Is the city allowed to take a land contract on something like that?
I'd have to look at it. I don't think it's very common for municipalities to enter a land contract.
No,
it
because we're
has-
not in the real estate business.
Correct.
And I do understand that, but,
Correct.
yeah.
In terms of legally, I've never seen it done, but I don't know that it's not, that is not, legal to do, so we'd have to look at that if you wanted to.
I would be very curious to get the answer to that question.
Sure.
I have a client who has a dream to do something on that property. She's in the process of saving a boatload of money right now. And her dream may come true, I don't know.
Bring us that
And it's
boatload of
just,
money.
she's never even mentioned it to me, so, what, I'm sorry?
Bring us that boatload of money.
I mean, she's working really, really hard at it. So,
I can get you that answer, Commissioner.
I would just like the answer in case she ever comes up to me and says, is this a possibility? Then I would have the answer to the question is all.
I'll get you that
Have
answer.
to, as a commission, decide if we're going to be forced by the public to not include low-income housing in the package. Let's be honest. And this group has to make the decision, and at a work session, maybe we can talk freely to each other and say, what do you think? Because we had a large group of citizens who didn't want any low-income housing in any part of that development. But that's what people are all coming to us with to develop it. So we have to decide.
Well, and there's a difference too between low income and income driven for the workforce, so, yeah.
And if I recall correctly, not everybody who was speaking out about it was a city resident.
Correct. So we got work to do if we really wanna sell the property. A hotel with a restaurant on top, stores on the bottom, it's my dream. They haven't swarmed us with that offer yet.
I just want
There hasn't
somebody
been
to,
any.
I just want somebody to put a professional kitchen to rent out in there, so, it just, workshop stuff.
All
that's
right,
what
work
they're-
session enough. Thanks. The sick leave policy, I didn't,
Mayor, I think we need
No.
to vote.
call.
did we not vote on it?
No, we didn't.
Oh, I thought we did. Go ahead.
Johnson,
Yes.
Rhodes,
Yes.
Simmons,
Yes,
Gunther,
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Thank you, Karen, for catching that. Resolution approving the amendments to the sick leave policy of the non-bargaining employee handbook. Mark or Jamie?
I'll start, Mayor. We'll certainly need Jamie if there's specific questions. There's been a lot in the press, and I'm sure you've all heard about the Earned Sick Time Act and its impact on local businesses. That's been a prominent thing. It also has an impact on the city, although I think in a much more minor way, but is something that we needed to address, and Jamie in her time has done that and has amendment to our sick leave policy that is, I think, very well laid out in the materials that you have. But if there's questions on it, I know she can, answer them likely better than I can, but I think it's fairly straightforward, Mayor.
Anything, Jamie, that you want to bring up specifically?
I think the biggest thing that we had to change was just calling out part-time. That was the biggest thing. We already follow the policy really well. It's just part-time wasn't included in it. So now we have to add that for the part-time.
Thank you. Other commissioners have questions?
how many employees does this impact?
It will be the seasonal employees as well as, some of our part-time employees that we have. So fire is excluded, part-time
Because
fire.
they're bargaining.
But yeah, there's part-time people at the airport as well as DART and the library that have been impacted and will now get sick time.
Others? Paul, anything? Did we vote on that yet, Karen?
I move.
And is there a second? Further questions? Question, please.
Rhodes,
Yes.
Simmons,
Yes,
Gunther,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
That's why Fleece is here tonight, huh? The water treatment center.
He just missed you, Mayor.
Good to see you, sir.
Just like that.
How many $1 million does this?
Of engineering costs, is that what you're asking?
So the water treatment plant needs a new clarifier improvement, right, Mark?
That's right, Mayor. And, right, Scott Hall, Police and Vandenbrink is here, and we may have.
Michigan Tech grad,
Michigan Tech grad, very good, yes, very good. We went out to bid on some improvements to our clarifiers at the water plant and had 5 bidders, and low bidder being Blast Tech LLC, substantially low bidder, which is very much appreciated in this time or day and age. And Fleece is recommending Blast Tech, correct?
Yep.
Scott?
So Scott, have you worked with them before?
I have personally not worked with them, but we are subcontracted with Dixon Engineering, who does a lot of our code inspections for us, and they've worked with them a fair amount in the past.
How could their bid be so much lower than the other people's? Hundreds
That's
of thousands of dollars, I mean,
I asked that question specifically. I mean, obviously right away when we see that big a gap,
Yes.
red lights go off and, you know, we grill them pretty hard. And a lot of what it came down to was schedule availability this summer. A lot of the other contractors were pretty full this summer. The contract times we gave them were to complete this work in the summer. And the other was the coating on this is for these clarifier mechanisms, and they're basically pieces of steel under the water that it's kind of tough to quantify the square footage of area that they have to work in. And so part of that is how they interpret how much that square footage is. And that's a lump sum cost to coat that steel. So how they interpret the level of effort needed there is kind of where we can see some of that spread happen. It is a large spread, but we went through the drawings, inspected with him pretty thoroughly, and he indicated he had everything covered.
Have they done ours before?
The last time these were coated were in 1999,
It's about
I believe.
25 years.
Yeah.
Thank you. Questions?
Do you know when this bid went out, what the date was on it?
Bid opening was April 21st, or April 1st, but that's not what you're asking, I don't think.
I think the bid opening was on April 10th, it said.
It says on the thing April 1st that I'm
It
reading
was
right here,
April
but maybe.
2nd we got, yeah.
Oh, I was reading the position
Resolution.
paper.
April 1st, yeah.
Resolution says April 10th.
Yeah.
So it's just, I think it goes back to a comment I've made, in the past, if, you know, we approved something for the next year. So this was approved on July 1st. We just have to get into a better rhythm of bidding things well in advance of when we want the work done. That will help us get more competitive bids and might have allowed some other contractors to submit a bid.
No, I know that is always a goal, and in our water system, and, you know, we always operate sort of differently than other water systems. Scott, if you want to talk about that, where our peak times are not in the summer, right? Where most water systems' peak times are in the summer, so we want the work done in the summer, which is sort of a flip-flop to kind of traditions of, you know, coating tanks and coating towers and that kind of stuff, so.
A lot of the coating work, typically on the exteriors for like the storage tanks or something, they wanna do that in the spring or fall when it's not too cold but not too hot.
Right.
So the middle of summer is kind of an ideal time to do this indoor work.
Yeah, but lead time is always a good thing, but, you know.
And our water
we're months
spikes
ahead.
in the fall when gas comes back, is that?
Yes.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, our peak times are not in the summer when you'd think they would be, but.
Do I hear a motion for the water treatment plant clarifier improvement?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Further questions, anybody? Hearing none. Karen, could you call that?
Simmon,
Yes.
Bumper,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Rhodes.
Yes.
The next is the lining company that lines the sewer lines, and you pulled this, Mark?
I did, yep, we'll bring that back to you, Mayor, when I had gotten that all straightened
Does
out.
police do anything with that, or do we do that
No.
one-on-one with those lining companies?
Yeah, those are, I mean, you know, Todd Richter might be consultant, he did the work on the SAW grant, which is the sanitary sewers which are lined, and, we might consult him on something or whether, but it's really more just between the contractor and the city.
So city residents, Linda Telfer, you should know this, right across from your house this spring, they were in your street lining sewer lines. I had no clue that they put linings in sewer lines, but it was right in front of your home. Anything else? Okay, they pulled it.
Yes.
Next, resolution approving traffic control over by Eastwood School.
Our deputy director, Paquette, is here. Chief could not be. This is nothing, again, new to you in terms of the conflicts that arise in and around schools with pickup, drop-offs, parkings, and so on. And we've done a tremendous amount of work at all, sort of three neighborhood schools with traffic studies and types of things to try to alleviate those. And it's always a work in progress. And this is an example of that kind of work in progress. These neighbors on Jefferson Avenue between Second and Third have been getting parked in their driveway, and really is just not able to utilize or come and go from their property because there's people who are dropping off at the school who are blocking things. So the solution is to have no parking up along that stretch of road, and hopefully that will alleviate that conflict for those property owners. Am I on the right track here, Scott?
Yep, that's exactly that. I spoke with one of the homeowners today. He had not only had his driveway blocked in several times, he's had people park on his lawn because there's no curb there and the yards go right out to the roadway. So it's a constant issue for these folks, not only with people dropping off students, but employees of the school as well that decide to park there instead of in the back parking lot.
Well, the employees would cause an issue. I mean, if somebody was in the driveway and somebody was sitting in their vehicle, I'm assuming common courtesy is you move your vehicle and let the person out. I'm duh. But, Scott, is that just, I drove over there before I came, I did drive. I rode over there before I came here. Is it just that one block?
Just the one block
So
between.
it affects 2 driveways from what I could tell, and there's an alley there in between a couple of the houses.
Correct. Yeah.
Are people allowed to leave their vehicles?
Well, if they were to park them, they can't legally leave them running and unattended, but if they were to park and then walk their children to the school and back, that right now would be legal, and that's where the issue is coming in of driveways being blocked and yards being parked
They
on.
couldn't move
And,
their vehicle because they're not in it.
If they're not in it.
and he's said several times he went out to ask people to move so his wife could leave, and people who are sitting in their cars refused to move until their passenger, whoever was dropping the student off, comes back out to the car, so.
Isn't not, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Isn't it not a basic rule that you don't block a driveway?
It is, but it's also people get in a hurry, people are looking for a convenient spot to pull over, and they might not always, they may just think if I'm here for a couple minutes, it's not bothering anyone, which it is. It's the homeowner who can't get in or out of his own property that is not fair to.
I would be curious after this goes into effect if it worked. Because not everybody adheres to signs either.
Correct.
And obviously, you're not sitting over there in a patrol car to give them a ticket because they violated a sign.
That'll be part of our responsibility to be in the area and monitor those to enforce that.
And then we'll get.
Because currently, there is parking allowed there.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
Yeah, there's
So
no
it's not,
signs at
it's
all.
not, well, it's not that it's no parking right now and there's no signs. It's that there's parking allowed and there's no signs.
Signs, correct.
All right.
Other questions?
Now, Scott, this is just gonna be on the south side, correct?
Just the south side, yes.
All right.
Anyone else from the public have a question about the parking? How many times do we have to have these various things on Eastwood School? I mean, this is like the third thing.
It's a nightmare over there.
Well, they said
I don't know.
they don't
I go by
have
there
a
every
lot.
morning and
There's not a lot of space in that area, and as somebody who's had to do pickups and drop-offs for preschoolers over there, back before it was a kindergarten center, and having the overflow of the kindergartners, these things need to happen as the traffic flow increases. You have to keep order. So it's a response method, I think,
Well, and it also comes down to the policy that each school has. I know this came up with Brookside. And one of the things that folks brought up is that, well, it's not a problem at Riverview because they do A, B, C, D. So we'll let the parents.
Do I hear a motion
and
for
residents.
approval of the traffic control order number 590?
So moved.
Second.
Further questions? Karen, please.
James,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Rhodes,
yes.
Simmons,
Yes.
Gunther.
Yes. There's no work session today. Is there unscheduled business for the commission? Anyone? Commissioners? Rosemary, where have you been?
Sitting right by
Where have you been? You haven't been the last few meetings.
Yeah, I was here last.
Yeah.
I missed
You're being awfully quiet. Anything else for the good of the group? Adjourn.